Okay, so artificial intelligence. It can generate some absolutely incredible stuff in seconds. But let's be real, a lot of the time, it feels like you're not really in the driver's seat, right? So the big question is, how do you actually harness all that power without losing control? Let's figure it out.
The best way to think about AI isn't as just some simple tool. It's more like a really complex maze. It offers a path to some amazing results for sure, but if you just wander in without a map, well, it's super easy to get lost. The trick isn't to avoid the maze, it's learning how to navigate it with purpose.
And that gets us right to the core challenge we're talking about today. I call it the AI control problem. We've got this unbelievable capability right at our fingertips, but the results? Sometimes they're unpredictable, sometimes they're just plain nonsense, or worse, they can have real-world risks we just didn't see coming.
And this right here, this is why the stakes are so incredibly high. With just one single prompt, you can create something that reaches thousands of people, like instantly. If your judgment is solid, AI is this massive asset. But if it's not, mistakes don't just happen, they spread, and man, do they spread fast. So, to really get a handle on this, we have to talk about one of the biggest dangers of using AI. It's this concept called distance. It's one of those hidden risks that, honestly, most people don't even notice until a mistake has already been made.
And this iceberg image, it just illustrates the problem perfectly. We all tend to focus on the obvious stuff AI gets wrong. That's the tip of the iceberg. But the real danger, that's lurking right below the surface, in all the hidden parts of the process that we usually just overlook.
So, let's break it down. Right at the very top, you've got the mistakes you can see. But what's causing them? It's that gap, that distance between your choice, the prompt you write, and its effect out in the real world. And the root cause of that gap? It's a lack of serious thought before you hit generate. We just act before we really think through the consequences.
Okay, so if we're going to close that gap and actually get some control, we first have to understand how these tools think. And I promise you, it is probably not what you're expecting. This is the one insight that unlocks everything else.
Here it is. This is the single biggest aha moment you can have with AI. Our expectation, what we think is happening, is that we're talking to a giant database of facts, like a super smart encyclopedia. But the reality, we're just interacting with a really, really sophisticated word prediction engine. It doesn't know a thing, it just predicts which word is most likely to come next.
The easiest way to get this is to just look at your phone. When you're typing a text and it suggests the next word, it's not because your phone understands your conversation. Nope. It's just predicting based on millions of other sentences it's seen. Generative AI does the exact same thing, just on a mind-bogglingly bigger scale. And understanding that one thing explains everything. On the plus side, because it's just predicting, it's amazing at creating language that sounds natural and exploring ideas. But the downside? Well, that's also why it has zero real understanding, why it makes factual errors, and why just blindly trusting it is so risky. It's just not built to be a source of truth.
So once you really get that AI is just a prediction engine waiting for instructions, your whole approach has to change. It really requires this fundamental shift in your mindset, which is what we're going to cover right now.
See, most of us start out with a search mindset. We treat AI like it's Google, we just type in a few keywords and kind of hope for the best. That's the wrong way to do it. To get control, you need an instruction mindset. You're not searching for anything. You're delegating a task to a very capable, but also very literal, assistant who needs crystal clear directions. Okay, so if giving clear instructions is the answer, how do we actually do it? This is where we get practical. We're moving from the theory to a simple, powerful blueprint that's going to take your prompts from total chaos to perfect clarity. I mean, if you look online for prompting advice, you will get buried in an avalanche of different frameworks. You've got RTF, TAG, CARE, the 5S model. It's just this whole sea of acronyms and super complex-looking diagrams. And it just keeps going. RACE, STAR, R.O.D.E.S. Honestly, it's totally overwhelming. It feels like you have to memorize a dozen different systems just to get started. But what if I told you that underneath all of that complexity, they all share the same simple, secret DNA? Let's just cut through all of that noise. At its core, a prompt framework is just this: a simple structure that gives clear instructions to an AI. That's it. It's not about memorizing a bunch of acronyms. It's about providing structure. And here it is, the simple anatomy that all great prompts share. Just 4 simple steps. First, you define a role so the AI knows how to act. Second, you provide context so it understands the situation. Third, you assign a specific task so the purpose is clear. And fourth, you set constraints, so the result actually fits what you need. That's the whole blueprint.
Now that you have the blueprint for control, we have to talk about the most important piece of the puzzle. Because as soon as you have control, you also have responsibility. And this is where ethics becomes your compass.
And here's where it all clicks together. Remember that dangerous distance we talked about at the beginning? Well, using a structured prompt, defining the role, context, task, and constraints, that is the single best way to close that gap. Good, clear prompting isn't just a technical skill, it's actually an ethical practice.
So what does that actually look like? Well, it means respecting your audience's ability to choose for themselves. It means you're actively avoiding misleading language, and this is a big one. It means recognizing that clarity is a form of respect. And above all else, it means always keeping a human in the loop to make that final judgment call. And this is the most crucial point. We can talk about AI ethics all day long, but the system itself, it has no morals. The moral responsibility is never, ever on the tool. It always, 100% of the time, belongs to the person who reviews, who approves, and who decides to use the output. It belongs to you. At the end of the day, generative AI is way more than just a tool for writing or making images. It's a tool for thought. It gives us this incredible leverage to explore our ideas, organize our thinking, and express ourselves more clearly. The control is in your hands. So the only question left is, what will you choose to think about?